Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us for this brief overview of our tax tally solution. This demonstration is intended to give you an inside look at how the software works and how it can help your transportation company to become more efficient. Let's get started. TaxTally is designed to help you with your fuel tax reporting. You input fuel purchases and mileage by state, and we use that information to then calculate your fuel tax return. In your preferences, you are able to set up your company information on the Company Info tab, your company name, your address, your city, state. This, of course, controls what state you are going to report to. Your IFTA ID, your federal ID, any other reference numbers you feel suitable. For people who have to report to Kentucky, New York, New Mexico, or Oregon, we also allow you to record your specific IDs with those 4 states as well. To enter data into the program, data is entered through a fuel tax transaction, represented by this gold money bag on the toolbar. There's more than one way to enter a transaction. One of the more common methods for getting fuel transactions into the TaxTally system is through an interface with our dispatch system. Dispatch will post any trip transactions from the application into TaxTally, and they will automatically import as a transaction, such as this one. You may also enter transactions through other methods if you decide to use TaxTally as a standalone product. One common method that would be a method that is used to work around the actual odometer. An odometer entry method, the program remembers the last odometer used by the vehicle. You can see when I selected unit 1001, it already gives me a blank line. This is called a trip leg. And it gives me the starting odometer because it has a memory of what the last odometer reading that I used when recording a transaction was in this program. By selecting a state, it then allows me to put in the actual state and my ending odometer in that state. This would require specific odometer recordings when you enter and exit each state line. By entering in an ending odometer of 3,000, that records 450 miles in that state. I can then add a new leg, choose another state, and then enter in additional miles. By looking at my total, it tells me that I have 650 total miles with those 2 state entries. If that would conclude my entry, then I would then hit save, recording that trip transaction. For recording fuel, I just have to populate the gallons in the state through which the fuel was purchased. So I'm going to enter in 98 gallons of fuel and then an additional 40 gallons in the other state. There is an option for entering in the cost per unit. Although IFTA is not really interested in the amount that you pay for your fuel, by providing your cost per gallon, this information will be available through some of the other additional enhanced reports that would be available to the end user. Again, I'm going to save my transaction. So that is the odometer entry method that would be available to you. When I want to add another fuel transaction, I click Add. This time I'm going to pick a different unit number. And in this unit number, I'm going to use what's referred to as our tax link entry. The tax link entry allows you to actually plug in the points as routing points, and then it relies on the Prophesy mileage program to then look up the miles based on those entries. So I'm going to go with Cleveland, Ohio, Windsor, Connecticut. I'm going to do a lookup. It's going to give me my state breakdowns and mileage totals. Once I click OK, it brings me back to the transaction screen where I now have my states with the miles in each state. Once again, I would then be required to plug in the number of gallons that I purchased in each state and optionally the cost per unit. The final entry method, and I'm going to click Add once again to get a new transaction. I would then select the unit. I'm going to stick with the same unit number. Would just be to enter the line items, the legs, on my own. So I'm going to, in this example, choose New York. I'm going to add another leg. Choose New Jersey. Add a leg, Pennsylvania, and I'm also going to record fuel purchases in each state that I would like to display fuel. Once again, optionally would be the cost per unit. So that concludes the entry process of this. Next, I will show you that through our trip manager, I'm then able to browse my different transactions. Now, the trip manager filters on a date range, so it is important to understand that if your date range does not show the proper quarter, then it will be difficult to find your transactions. So by setting it to the current quarter, I'm able to see the fuel transactions. Here's the one with today's date that I just entered into the system. Under Unit 1002, I have additional transactions on the same date, 2 transactions. If I were to double click on either of those transactions, it does drill me back into the original fuel tax transaction screen. I can then close this window. I return to the trip manager. Once the transactions are entered in the system, then we are finished with the data entry, and we are now just required to run our IFTA fuel tax report. Now we make it very easy. We give you a button that says IFTA, and all you have to do is click on that button. You tell it what period you would like to run. Typically you're running for the previous quarter. Just going to use the current month so that my transactions will show up as an example. We offer additional options to set up fleet IDs. So if you want to separate your trucks into different fleets so they can be reported separately, or extract certain vehicles out of a report that you may not want to report on for IFTA but still keep the information in the program, you could set it up as fleets so that you can run your report on your own fleet for the IFTA report and then run it on the other vehicles for just seeing the numbers for comparative values. I'm going to now run that report, and at this point this is an adjustment screen, and in this screen you will see that it's already made the calculation. I'm actually getting a refund of $28.59. As we all know, that is not typical for fuel tax reporting. I then have the ability to put in any previous balance, credits, interest, penalty amounts, check charges, reinstatement fees that will help adjust that number up or down for what I would actually owe or collect from my state. I then enter in my year, my quarter number, and that will adjust the from to dates for me. I have a due date, a prepared date, a file by date, a file date, and other options here that will adjust the actual return screen as such. I'm then going to click Run, and it then makes the return in a PDF format where I can then open, and I'm choosing Open All because there is 2 pages, or multiple pages I should say. Now on the first page is my actual cover page, and on my cover page it has my information on it as far as my name and my street address, my city and state, my IFTA ID number, and then of course that I'm getting a refund of $28.59. On this second PDF form, this is my actual worksheet. And on the worksheet, it breaks down for my state that I'm reporting to, the states that I've traveled through, my miles in each state, my miles per gallon, my taxable gallons in each state, that state's filing tax rate, and whether my state should be paying or collecting from the states that I've traveled through. Even if you cannot use your form to report to your state, with the calculations already having been made, it is very simple to then just transpose the information onto your state form or even into the state website for filing purposes. Additional reports that are of an advantage to users under the Reports menu, under Unit Report, I prefer the distance and fuel purchased by tractor. You can also see distance and fuel by tractor by state. I like this report on a summary level, and the reason why I like this report is because it will give me a breakdown of my units. It will tell me how many total miles that they traveled. Now this is just for a 1 month time range, which you can see right here. So I can actually verify that monthly total on the monthly vehicle odometer to help me reconcile my reporting miles. I can also see the number of gallons that is recorded in the program. Once again, a number that I can take and compare to a fuel card report or to fuel receipts to verify that all of the fuel has been recorded into the fuel tax reporting program. The fuel cost is a calculation. It's a figure that's been calculated off of me recording that information. This is an additional area that is not dependent on the IFTA reporting, but just an additional piece of data that we will offer you if you decide to enter that when putting in your fuel purchases. You can also see a fuel efficiency by tractor. This includes a mile per gallon calculation. The last thing I'd like to show you would be this ton per mile. This is for the 4 states, Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon, that require a separate tax to be paid outside of the IFTA tax. I'm going to choose current month, and I'm going to choose New York. I'm going to click Run, and it's already made a calculation. I owe New York an additional $98.55. This is standard for those 4 states, typically paid monthly. I can then run this report, and I'm going to open it. And once again, if you cannot submit the form itself, you now at least have the calculations and can use it to aid you in filling out the form, either that you download or directly onto that state's website. There is one other additional thing that you're able to do each quarter. We allow you to download or update your tax rates. Prophesy, through our support program, each quarter will update each state's tax rate and provide that to you in the form of a download, where you can click the Check Now button and it will direct you to our website where you can then download the updated tax rates so that you can always feel comfortable and confident that you're calculating with the up-to-date state rates. And that's an inside look at our Prophesy TaxTally program. Please don't hesitate to reach out to our team with any questions you might have. We can be reached by phone at 800-776-6706 or by email at moreinfo@mile.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.